Shelley Lime has said to me, further reflection on Suella's letter. Perhaps the Prof could form a committee tomorrow morning to discuss it ad infinitum. Well, I don't need to wait until tomorrow morning. There's so much more to be said about Suella Braverman's letter. I'm afraid this evening I had a lot of lessons to do, and I was dropping YouTube videos between lessons in the sort of 5-10 minutes that I had in the changeover. And I find her letter fascinating, noxious, poisonous, but absolutely fascinating. One or two people have said that I didn't comment or didn't read out the bit about her accusing the Prime Minister of not having a popular vote for his election as Prime Minister. Well, first of all, a Prime Minister isn't elected, a Prime Minister is appointed. A Prime Minister is simply the First Minister of the monarch. And until very recently, the Prime Minister or the leader of the Conservative Party was elected by the Conservative members of Parliament, who I think are probably better placed to judge who should be Prime Minister. I have no problem with a popular vote for members of the Conservative Party when the leader of the Conservatives is the leader of the opposition, when the party is in opposition. I have no problem with that. But I have a serious problem both with the Conservative Party up till now and potentially with the Labour Party electing, with the members of the party, that very small group, electing a Prime Minister. I think it's heinous, and I've thought so all the way through this process. Not only does it waste a lot of time and leave us with a lame duck Prime Minister for the process, it's also putting a lot of power in the hands of cronies and people who have a vested interest in the party rather than in the running of the country, and people who don't really understand the deeper issues which maybe members of the House of Commons do. I think when a Prime Minister leaves and another Prime Minister must be appointed, that appointment should be made by a vote in the House of Commons, a full vote in the House of Commons. I don't think it should be left to one particular party to make that vote, and I certainly don't think it should be left to the popular membership of that party. But given that, one of Suella Braverman's first points is that Rishi Sunak doesn't feel that he has proper credibility, in much the same way as Gordon Brown may have felt that he didn't have proper credibility because he hadn't been tested in a general election and because he hadn't been properly voted in. And the idea that a Prime Minister has a mandate in the UK is a misreading of our unwritten constitution. So Suella Braverman's line is, despite you having been rejected by a majority of party members during the summer leadership contest and thus having no personal mandate to be Prime Minister, I agreed to support you. Well, first of all, I do remember vividly reading that line because I remember the rather strange grammar. But this is potentially the Achilles heel as identified by GB News supporters, undoubtedly. The fact that Rishi Sunak lost to Liz Truss. To lose to Liz Truss. I mean, can you imagine anybody losing to Liz Truss? How could you lose to somebody who is so inept and who proved her ineptitude in office in that month after the Queen died? So 1 month, 49 days, taking away, 10 days of ceremonial. 39 days. 39 days to get it so disastrously wrong and to make our economy wobble to such an extent. Our economy and we are still playing catch-up for the mess that Suella Braverman and Kwasi Kwarteng's prodigious package got us into. I think when it comes to messes, Liz Truss is probably a greater mess than Suella Braverman. But Suella Braverman is playing catch up very nicely, and she's doing it out of the Nadine Dorries handbook of letter writing. So Tory members might have preferred somebody who was a tax-cutting candidate rather than Rishi Sunak, who was more centrist. But they might equally have preferred somebody who was a Brexiteer rather than somebody who had voted for Remain. But in the end, does it matter? In the end, what mattered was to get somebody in power who was going to do the job and who was going to right the ship. Liz Truss proved she wasn't capable of doing that. You fall back to the next person in line, who is Rishi Sunak. In any other scenario, that's what you would do. Instead, Rishi Sunak went back to a vote. The vote was in the among the parliamentary members, and he came out with a clear majority. So, in fact, it didn't go to the wider party members, and we rescued that period, that further period of indecision, and got Liz Truss out earlier. I think we should all be celebrating on that, frankly. So, an authentic Conservative agenda was her other sneering point. Rishi Sunak is a Conservative, and I don't think he has to defend himself. Is Suella Braverman now going to turn around and say that Lord Cameron, David Cameron, is not a Conservative, is not an authentic Conservative? The idea of this authentic Conservative voice is somebody who voted for Brexit. Well, again, whether you vote for Brexit or whether you didn't vote for Brexit, show me the benefits of Brexit, because I've yet to see them. And there are plenty of people who are Conservatives who feel that this idea of an authentic Conservative voice, as presumably manifested in GB News or Talk TV, is not a voice they recognise. So where do these people go? Who do these people vote for? Because they're not going to vote for Suella Braverman's Conservative Party. If the Conservative Party can turn round, maybe it can hold together in opposition. But the noise from this letter suggests that Suella Braverman is determined to tear the party apart, whether it succeeds at the next election, which it won't, or whether it fails. And then one can only hope that the Labour Party will put forward an electoral change so that we lose the first past the post system and then get a little bit more variety into the House of Commons. But I cannot imagine that a party with a massive majority will vote for electoral change. It simply isn't realistic. Suella Braverman is playing a very, very dangerous game. If she has any loyalty to the Conservative Party, she is not manifesting it. If she has any dignity, she is not manifesting it. And the idea that she's got these firm assurances that you gave me on key policy priorities, this, as I said earlier, is trying to puppeteer the Prime Minister. And she's making reference to an unpublished document as the centre of her allegation. It's a threat that she might leak that document, but that document isn't a legal document. That document is at best a formal agreement between a Prime Minister and a junior minister in his cabinet. So if she thought those roles were reversed, she is living in cloud cuckoo land, and so are all her followers and the people who are baying for her success. She's got it wrong, and that is why she should be offering her resignation in her constituency, and she should be stripped of the Privy Council membership. She does not deserve to belong to the Privy Council if she cannot uphold the basic principles that underpin our Constitution. She needs to go elsewhere. If she wishes to run a dictatorship, she needs to go elsewhere. I could give her some recommendations in Russia.